Hello and welcome to the Park Podcast, the Myers Park SJ's podcast series. My name is Kate Munden and I'm a senior representative here at Myers Park. On today's episode, we will be looking over our new rotation for returning to in-person school.
So what has everyone's experience been like so far? We just went back to school and we're in a 3-group rotation. So I'm Group B. And so what have y'all thought about going back to school?
Well, I was Group A, so I was the first week back. And I mean, it was really weird at first being back at school because it was the first time in so long. But I think it actually went super well, just sitting at a desk for the first time in a long time and being productive and getting work done. Was super, I felt the most productive I've been in a really long time. So I really benefited from it.
I agree with that. I mean, I was Group B and I thought that it was really cool to be able to be back. It was very different from last year, obviously, with all the restrictions and everything, but I thought it was fun just to be able to see teachers and new faces because I've been keeping a pretty small group with the pandemic and everything, so it was nice to see people that I hadn't seen and just be on campus was really cool.
It surprised me how smoothly it went and how ready our school was for it. They had a lot of precautions in place and they did a really great job, I thought, with spacing people out and making sure that, people don't enter in the same way as people are exiting and just minimizing interactions and stuff like that. I thought they did a great job with that. So did y'all feel COVID safe? And what did you think of the lengths that the school took to keep us safe?
Yeah, I didn't ever worry about, how safe I was. I felt safe the whole time. And I thought that it was really great to be able to sit outside, have that option.
Yeah.
And it was really nice one of the days now that the weather is looking nicer. And so it was great to see everybody using that opportunity to go sit outside and be on all the benches. And so that was really fun.
Yeah, same. Yeah. I definitely thought that I would be a lot more anxious and have a lot more concern with how safe it would be. But actually being on campus, I felt extremely safe. And when you first hear about all of the restrictions and precautions that CMS is taking, it can seem a little bit extreme, but it's really not. I mean, I didn't have any trouble wearing a mask or anything. That's just normal stuff that you have to do. But I don't know. I thought it was enjoyable, and I felt safe the whole time that I was there.
Yeah, I also liked how they had hand sanitizer at every time you walk into a building. That was really great, I thought.
And the scheduled bathroom times.
Yeah,
I thought that was going to be more hectic than before I went, but then I realized that it made a lot of sense. And whenever I went to the bathroom, I never was in with another person, and it just felt very safe and distanced the whole time. So
yeah, and I think splitting us into groups is it makes such a big difference, just because I'm so used to having everywhere be so crowded, from the parking lot to every building.
The quad does not look the same.
Yeah, it does not. And so I think that was a great call by them to split us up into those groups. What did y'all miss about Myers Park?
Well, I definitely missed seeing a lot more people because we're split up into 3 different groups. That does limit the amount of faces you get to see, and I don't get to see half of my class or 2/3 of my class. And it was so strange being in class the first day and then seeing some people I didn't even know if they were my class or not because they haven't had their cameras on or something. So neither of us really knew who we were. So it was weird to see each other for the first time. So I definitely missed that in a big classroom. That's what I missed, I think, the most.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree with that completely. Just the daily interactions that we used to have with everybody in our classes and just being able to talk to people. Even though we're back in school, it's nowhere near the same because of the whole Zoom and in person, you can't really have the same conversations because, I mean, the class is live streamed and you can't talk to the people who are on the Zoom. But it is definitely a lot better than all being on Zoom. And one thing that hybrid learning really made me realize was how miserable it must have been for all of the teachers. Just going back into school and seeing what their Zoom call looks like, all the black screens and everything, it made me really sympathetic towards how hard it must have been for them this year.
Yeah. I really missed, like, small talk with my teachers. Like, I liked being able to sit there and just chat with them before class started. And I also like the 10-minute transitions. Like, we get to walk in between classes and talk to people.
I definitely, with you saying that, Kate, I definitely didn't realize how valuable in-person and one-on-one classroom time with a teacher is until that first week. Like, I got so much of my work done and I was able to ask more questions than I would have been on Zoom just because I wouldn't have felt so awkward because they're right in front of me. And with that being said, a major kudos to all the teachers for being so understanding through all of this as well, because like with the asynchronous time and trying to balance people at home and then in the class, I feel like all of my teachers handled that really well. So.
Yeah,
me as well.
So I know I've had to change my schedule. So how have y'all had to change your schedule for going to school versus online rotations?
Well, I definitely, after having that first week, I realized I want to get up every morning and actually sit down at a desk or like move scenery and like go sit down in my kitchen or something, more than like what I was doing before, because I really wanted to stay being productive. So I think that's definitely a way of how I want to carry on that 1 week of in-person class to being at home for 2 weeks.
Yeah, and I am not used to not being able to eat whenever I want. Like, I can't turn off my camera and just go make food or like whatever I wanted to do. And so I think getting up early too is another one, like, because you have to get up like an hour earlier just so you can do your screener and get to campus on time. And I think it was probably good for me to be able to do that because it made me more have a set schedule.
Yeah. It definitely gave us a little bit of structure, even if it was only for 1 week. I think that we have had so much freedom this year, which has been amazing, but it was kind of a snap back to reality that school isn't usually done from home or done from your desk and you being able to do whatever you want. So I don't know. It was kind of weird to be like, oh, I can't eat in the middle of math class, but but I guess that's normal.
Yeah, I'm just super glad we've been able to have this experience, and although it's later in the year, just kind of getting into some normalcy, and it's given me a little bit of optimism for next year,
for sure,
the future. So I'm just glad we've been able to do this.
And that concludes this week's episode. Thank you to my fellow representatives for joining me today. The start of in-person schooling is difficult. It's really great to see steps towards normalcy. In order to stay updated with all things Myers Park, it is important to follow at Myers Park High School and at MPHS_SGA on Instagram. Also, sign up for Mustang Express email chain to receive important information about Myers Park. You can subscribe on the MPHS PTSO website. If you have any questions you would like to add to the podcast, you can DM either Instagram account. We will be back later with another MPHS Student Government podcast episode. We look forward to having you. Bye!